Welcome to the Ausländer. So yeah, another episode of the Ausländer. Today I'm really happy to have here Edo, one of the friends from Frankfurt again. Edo is originally from Montepulciano, Italy.
Yeah.
And now it's living in Germany since
Almost 7 years.
7 years.
Yeah.
Always here in Frankfurt.
No, I was before I was in Osnabrück in the north of Germany. I moved there for my master, so this was the first time outside Italy, and yes, I went there a couple of years. When I finished my master, I moved to Frankfurt for my PhD. So it was two different cities.
But the universities were connected, or it was just because you find a group to do the PhD here?
To move here in Frankfurt, I decided to move here mainly because I knew the work of one professor here, which I like it, and I wanted to try to work with him. And at some point, I think I was in Italy. I just looked on his web page, and I found that he was looking for PhD students. And then I just wrote an email and that I wanted to work with him, and I was interested. And then everything started, and I moved here. So I had also other application around, like in Netherlands and the UK. But at the end, when there was the possibility to come here, I was happy to move, mainly because to work with him. It was not based on the city or I also didn't know anybody here, or was just because more work related or for university.
Just for letting the people know a little bit what it's the field where you have been doing. What was the master about, and what was the PhD about?
Yeah, so I went to Osnabrück to study cognitive science, and basically I moved there because in Italy it's not so not many universities offer this kind of program, and there was only one possibility in the north of Italy, in Trento, and was already quite far from my place. And then I decided, okay, if I have to go far, I want to do an experience abroad. And then there was a professor of mine in Siena that he also worked in Osnabrück for a while, and then he told me that it was a really good master program. And that's why I decided to go there. Also was really quite unknown, a small city, which I also didn't know. But
And what were you studying in Italy?
I was studying also something related to cognitive science in Siena, and but it was more in the direction of psychology or cognitive psychology, and applied to more communication and other things like that, and which it was nice for me that I did that, because also I went much more into this field of cognitive science, which just a small explanation maybe is like a multidisciplinary area where you have a different subject, and all related to, so to say, study cognitive process, or to study the brain, and like how vision work or memory, or and this cognitive science, you have more as I said, multidisciplinary, where you have also computer science involved. It can be also more neuroscience related, philosophy of mind, and so it's a lot of different view and different approach to answer questions and to do research on this on cognitive process. And then I moved to Frankfurt and to do the PhD more or less in the same field. It's also like cognitive neuroscience called, and it was more or less related. And also what I'm doing now is a bit between more methods and like to develop new methods to answer some question related to neuroscience, and also some more cognitive psychology work on related to resilience, and this was
nice, interesting. I would ask like hundreds of questions of of your work and your PhD most probably, so I would completely get lost in there. But one of the things that I think it pops up directly, it's you had a study group for the PhD from the first day, so you had a group of other students working with you in the same direction of the PhD, or how that worked?
Yeah, so it was not really a PhD student program where you have a lot of other people. It was just a position in a lab. So when I arrived, it was a small lab, and there was the professor and other 3 or 4 people working already there. But then 2 of them, they were almost at the end. So they, after 6 months or so, they left. They finished the PhD and they left. And then we were going on with the other 2 colleagues of mine. I mean, also quite close friends now. And so it was a really small environment. It was not.
No, that's one of the things that I was asking it just at the end, because normally in this kind of environments you end like having a group of friends, so a group of colleagues that transform into friends at the end, because you see them every day. And normally when you are in a city or in a country that you don't know at the end and it's new for you, it's maybe the easiest way to start knowing people.
Yeah, I mean, I think in principle, if you go abroad, I think it's maybe better, or I mean, at least for me, I think to do it maybe already at the university time, so to say, because it's easier, of course, to create a network of people and to meet people. I mean, also other people, not foreigner. They are also, I mean, in this case, German people. I mean, they come from other cities and so on. So everyone is also eager, so to say, to meet and to do things. And probably if you move much later, I don't know, only in some company and so on, maybe it can be, I guess, a little bit more difficult, because also people have different style, like a lifestyle and so on. And I mean, at the end, also for me in Osnabrück, I was at the university, so of course, I mean, you have all the people from the master program and so on. And also when I moved here, it was a bit more smaller, so it took a bit more time to create like a nice social environment as well, and to meet people. But I was still inside the university, so I think it's a bit easier, I guess.
Definitely. I mean, it's just like you are popping going around with people who has the same kind of interest, or they have the same style of life. There is nobody who is super far away from you in terms of like living or age most of the times, which is also important. Just a quick remark of what we are drinking today. Edo suggested to do a whiskey sour, so we tried to do it as best as possible.
That's very good.
And just as a quick reference. So just going directly maybe to how has the process of moving from Italy to Germany, any kind of things that you remember to be like, okay, I was not expecting this, or this has been hard, or I was not considering this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I guess at the beginning, so I moved 1 or 2 months before my master program was starting, and because I had to find a job, because I mean, my parents could not, unfortunately, they could not support me, like from an economic point of view. So I moved there to find a job, and I was quite lucky because, and really, I mean, in Italy it's not so easy to always about jobs and so on. And there, I think after not even 1 day, I found immediately somebody that replied. I mean, I was mainly just have a side job in restaurants, and Yes, a nice Italian guy from there. He was there since 40 years already. He wrote me that I could go, and I started to work there, which was him and all the family was extremely nice, and also after a while I was a bit like a son for him, I guess, and but of course it was quite tough to do both, because then. When I arrived, to settle down in a new place for the first time, and I also, I had like okayish level of English, but I never spoke it before and so on. So when I arrived, also my English was not so good, and was quite overwhelming to use it every day, and then. What I suffered a bit was that at the beginning, since I had to work already quite a lot, I was missing a lot from more like meeting new people. I remember there were Erasmus people and so on, and everyone was new and they were doing a lot of things. And for the first year, I could not do much because, especially in weekend, I was working. This was a bit not so easy, so to say, but
it's what happens when you need to have or you support your economical reasons in this stage of life of studying. No, at the end, it's just like you sacrifice some kind of social connections or social meetings in the possibility to be there, because if you were not having a job in Osnabrück in that case, you would not be able to stay in Osnabrück either. So you are doing it for a greater meaning
for your goal. And then it went better, because then I could start to work at the university. So I could start to get money and do something that I was really interested. And because in general, also before to do something, of course, if you have to do it to support yourself, you do everything and everything is fine. But a bit psychologically for me was not so easy, because I felt that I was spending a lot of hours for something I was not interested. I knew that it was not my job or whatever. So you have always a bit of the feeling that you are losing time. Just wasting your time. And but on the other hand, it was also nice, because these people there, they also helped me, and because I didn't know German at all, and so you have a bit something negative but also positive side. So
definitely, at the end, I suppose it's a nice thing to have a support with someone who is from your own country. So even if it was your boss or it was someone who you were working for, you are able to speak with this person if something is happening in your mother tongue, which is much easier than trying to make things happen. That's something that I wanted to ask you about English level. You just said that at that point, and I think it's something that happens to a lot of people, that they don't use English in a regular basis in their daily lives, in their hometowns or in their home countries, and then they arrive to a new country, and that becomes their daily language. Did you feel the difference between Osnabrück and Frankfurt? Because at the end, I know Frankfurt only, and I kind of have the feeling that here it's quite international, and sometimes you are not in this requirement of speaking German most of the times. It was exactly the same, or it was because maybe you are in the university and you were in Osnabrück, and it just was more a little bit also international, or
so for sure to be at the university, also the master program was in English, and so of course it's easier, so to say, because you have a kind of a bubble of all surrounded by people that they all know English and they are quite comfortable. And but my level was not so good. I studied a lot before because I need some certificate to prove my level and so on. And I think reading and writing and stuff was okay, but of course, and also listening and understanding. But of course, for sure to talk was not used, and just something funny. One of the first time I met at the beginning I was living like in a student residence, and then I met a guy from Pakistan, which I mean now is also a really close friend of mine because he was living in the same floor. And the first time I just asked him if I could use the fridge, and this fridge in particular in English. He answered me that he didn't know German. So I think my English was really, or the pronunciation and so on was really not good at all. And then then I mean I spent a lot of time with him and other people there, and I remember that was after half an hour or 1 hour, I mean you feel really overwhelmed and tired because you have to keep a really high focus to understand and to follow the conversation. But I mean then I think really fast it improved really fast. In 2-3 months I didn't have this anymore. I mean I was much more confident, and and it was much more smoothly for me to talk, and so I didn't feel this overwhelm anymore. And I mean also in Frankfurt, I guess for the daily life, probably it's even easier with English because it's a much more international city, and really, I mean, really almost everywhere people understand it and they can talk. I mean, maybe or
almost everywhere you find Italians also. So
also you find Italian, yeah, that's true.
Like Spanish and like everything. Yeah. Just like it's quite ridiculous how many times you are walking through the main river or through streets and you start listening to everything but German. That's
this actually you notice a lot. I mean, also a lot of time for me that you just walk around and actually you hear only other languages but not German. So
yeah, sure. So what is the thing that you would say that surprised you the most from Germany in a positive way? Something that you were like, okay, you know, like in Italy, maybe we come on, the food in Italy, it's amazing, for example, and you were maybe not expecting to have, I remember Carlotta saying to this question, bread, and I'm putting Carlotta in this conversation because Edu and me, we are friends because of Carlotta, but...
So, what surprised me, or I mean, what I like, or what I like, and what is really also important, I guess, that I think I would not have it in Italy. I mean, I'm at my age now, and I also, I mean, I said maybe because a friend of mine they have a bit the same feeling. Is the fact that here you have the feeling to that I mean you can. Also dream about a future, and I mean a lot of opportunities, and I mean you also I mean that you are not so scared also, I don't know, to change things and to make to try new things and so on, because somehow you always have the feeling that you can have an opportunity, and there are a lot of options sometimes, and which is something that like I don't know, my generation, my friends, they don't have back home, and I think I mean it's something really important for like a private life wise, and to have this also, I mean I'm 30 years old, so and to have this possibility and this feeling that I mean you can also dream about stuff and what you could do in the future and so on, and I think it's sad to say, but I don't know, a country where I come from, like Italy, for my generation, they a bit destroyed, or they don't they are
not able to think on the future, and I think that's something that I can reflect also into like from the perspective of Spain or Catalonia itself, like you cannot really think about what to do or just the scary thing of losing your job or quitting a job and entering another one. This instability, it's so hard, and it's just like, because a lot of your salary goes just to your rent, and a lot of your salary it's just going to the daily consume thing, so you are not able to do from an economic perspective also, but in general I think also it comes from like knowing that you are a little bit more safe in here. I also had this feeling somehow like that even if some point, I don't know, I lose my job, I will find something else, for example.
Definitely. I mean, I don't know, like in 1 year or so, I also will be done with my PhD, and probably I can continue more, but it's also not for sure that I can stay in academia. I mean, it's quite not easy, and you have to be really good and also lucky and so on. But also when I talk with my parents or friends, I don't have any, like, I'm not feeling scared or something because that about the future, that also if I have to change, or I mean, I know that here I will have a lot of opportunities and a possibility to find something else that I like and so on, and not just accept something to survive, or which I mean, also as a PhD student, so on, I also like have a quite nice like also economically and so on. I think I had nice lifestyle, and which I think I would not be possible at all in Italy, because I mean, at the end, also, if you live in big city, Rome, Milan, and so on, I mean, everything is quite expensive as well. I mean, I think in some cases it's even comparable for here, but of course you earn much less, and so in principle, I give just better opportunities, and you can be much more relaxed on a lot of things. Yeah.
And it's really, really interesting how this affects to a lot of other things, like to your daily life, to your way of living. You know, like you live much more relaxed or much more less dependent on job or on salaries, on this kind of stuff, and you focus a little bit more on yourself. At least in my case, I think it has been like this, and I completely agree. Just the opposite question, maybe, what would be the negative thing that you can just see or that you can perceive comparing to home, or just like
negative? I mean, I don't know. Of course, there are some cultural differences and how people are and so on, which maybe also affect me more at the beginning than now, because I think then, of course, you get used, and a lot of, also some things are, I think maybe they are two sides of the same coin, in the sense that, I don't know, in some cases I notice that people are much less relaxed, so to say, also if you don't respect things or rules or whatever, and sometimes at the beginning it was a bit also affecting me emotionally and so on, because of course in Italy it's different. I mean, it's not that everyone can do whatever, but I have the feeling here that everyone care also what the other person does. So if they see stuff which is not correct, they will come to tell you, and maybe also making a lesson and whatever, which is sometimes not so nice. And I was also, taking personal a lot of times. On the other hand, then you understand that since the system is like that and so on, also things works better because of that. So when people see that somebody, I don't know, doesn't do something correct about it, can be everything, or respecting rule or taxes or whatever, they will tell, and they will do something, which in Italy doesn't happen a lot. It's a bit more everyone take care of himself or herself. And of course, as I said, can be a bit, I was feeling bad sometimes when it happened to me, that, I don't know, people were lecturing me because of some small things or whatever. But on the other hand, then I also understood that also the nice things that you have here maybe are also because of that. So
yeah, makes sense. Maybe one question that is somehow related to this, which would be the thing that you will say, "Oh, this I miss it so much from home."
From home,
that could be a product. Okay, if you say me like this specific wine, that's okay. Also,
no. It's more in a bit. I don't know. It's hard to maybe also to explain. Maybe it's more sometimes the atmosphere and some, I don't know, kind of vibes you have there, which are made it by a lot of different things about the surrounding and the place and the history. And I don't know. I mean, of course, I like it. I mean, I come from Tuscany and I like it. I mean, but also, I mean, it's easy to say that it's beautiful, but I mean, it somehow is also really it is. And I mean, I grew up in a place where I don't know, we were hang out just with friends in place where people come from everywhere to see, and for us it was just a place where I don't know, home, but just to have a drink and I mean, then all these things you realize it when you leave, because everything around and how much beauty and so on you have it around. I realized it after when I moved, and that's also why I start. And I also was much more interested to see even more and so on. Then after I moved, I also was going back. I was going back a lot of time just to go around to see more things. And I mean, sometimes I miss a bit this. As I say, it's a bit more like the feeling that you have when you are there. When I don't know, you just meet with some people, I don't know, in a bar or whatever, but the location and the atmosphere and stuff, of course, is different. I mean, it's not better or worse or here. It's just different. And I grew up there, and then sometimes I miss there. So more than other things like, I don't know, food or whatever, I can always try to make it similar, or I can get it or so on. So I think it's not much on something specific, but it's more this general feeling. Yeah.
What do you think about the weather? Because this is one of the topics that it's repetitive. That somehow, like, I think we are quite used to have a quite chill in general. I mean, I don't know, in Tuscany actually it's quite North Italy, so how it's the winter in there actually?
But the winter can be cold, but of course it's shorter than here. So and in general you have even if it's cold, you have much more sunny day also in winter. And I don't know. I mean, for me in Osnabrück it was quite tough because the weather was really bad. And actually, I was reading that it's one of the most raining city in Europe, and really was raining every day almost. I mean, and it was quite. Of course, I didn't like it, and so on. And then Frankfurt actually is okay. I mean, has a good balance, I think, for me. I mean, of course, the winter are longer than my place and in Italy, and but the end, from spring on, usually it depends. Of course, it depends also on the year, but you have also, can be extremely warm, and you have nice days, a lot of nice days, and so I never suffer the weather too much here, I would say, which was not the same in Osnabrück when after a while it was really too much. And I mean, it was also when I moved there at the beginning, it was starting spring, and people were inviting me to do things, and I didn't get why they wanted to do stuff because it was raining. And then I was always saying, "Oh, maybe I come when it's nice weather." Until some friends told me, "You are not in Italy anymore. If you don't come with rain, you will not do anything." And then,
you will do plans 4 days per year.
So.
Yeah, it's sure. I mean, of course. I mean, this is something that it's also like funny to see. You really get used to do things even if it's raining or even if it's cold outside, which is something that, come on, in Italy or in Barcelona or in whenever, just like we stop everything. Like
no. I mean, I have a lot of also other funny things. I mean, of course you. Now, also, if it does rain a bit, it doesn't bother me. I mean, I even not notice. But also, I remember one time I was in Osnabrück and I started to work at the university. And then one morning I woke up and it was snowing a lot. And in my place, I was also during high school or even before, since it snow maybe one time or two, not every year or even less. When it does, everything stop. So I was used that my parents were at home and everything is closed. You just stay at home and maybe just go out to play in the snow if you're a kid. And then you don't go to school, you don't do anything. And then I grew up with this idea. And then the first time that it was snowing in Osnabrück, basically I had an appointment to work at 9 at the university, but I saw that there was snow outside, and then I just went back to bed to sleep, because for me it was a natural, it was really automatic. It was automatic to say, okay, if it's snowing, then everything is closed. And then some people called me after half an hour to ask me why I didn't show up. And then, yes, I said, because it's snowing, and then they told me, everything is open, you have to come anyway. But of course, then you get used and...
Yeah, but that's a funny story. That's the cultural thing, like when you're used to some behavior because of something, and suddenly it happens somewhere else with the people it's so used. I just imagine in my head the reaction of the people who called you and you tell them no, it's snowing, and they were like, yeah, it snows every single day during the whole winter, like sure. I wanted to ask you also one of the questions that I've been asking a lot, like during the last episodes, and it's mainly, do you remember any crazy or any strange story being here in Germany that you would say, okay, this moment was really weird or like out of time?
Weird, like something really specific, weird. I think maybe not. What I experience a lot. Sometimes which I was more a bit that I felt weird and so on. That it's not a specific because of here, but I think it's a bit more because I don't speak the language. Is that you do things, of course, also for your life in office, bureaucracy, and so on, or whatever it can be. Mm-hmm. And then you have a situation when you have to stand for yourself and to be able to have argument and so on. But then I didn't have the language, and a lot of time I couldn't say anything, and then I felt bad, but also weird because it was something new for me, and it happened a few times, and that I could not stand for myself because the other person didn't know English, and then I should have done it in German, but I could not really do it. And then it was something that I don't know. I think just weird is the right word. So there was something not was used to it, and because it never happened before. But it's not related to the country. I think these kind of things happen everywhere where you have in office or I don't know with people around. You have some small argument or whatever. But then if you have the language, you can know. Stand for yourself, exactly. Make the point, and so on. And here, a few times it came that it happened that I could not do it, and then was a bit weird. Yeah.
Nice. I would suggest you to do on a small break, and then we continue.
Yeah.
Cool. Alrighty, so we are back. We grab another drink. We were just talking before a little bit on the experiences that you have in Germany. I think one of the things that we've been doing, or that it's quite typical here, it's just like whenever the sun goes out, we go to kiosks, and I think it's when besides being at your apartment or my apartment or whatever, one of the things that happens a lot is grabbing a beer outside, and it's something that it's quite normal to do. And I wanted to ask you, how did it feel, the party or the fact of going out for some drinks with some friends, in difference with Italy? Because the times that I've been to Italy, I think it's quite normal also to just go to a square, grab some beers or some drinks and sit there. And I think it's quite similar to the concept of the kiosk here, but I don't know if it's exactly the same from where you come.
I mean, in Italy, of course, I mean, people stay a lot outside, and or like in a lot of cases, not really that you stay in a bar or whatever. It's just you sit in a square like plaza or somewhere randomly. And but of course, people spend really a lot of time outside in the street and so on. And I mean, here, yes, I mean, I have also some nice kiosk and place close by where I live, where I meet and
Definitely,
with people.
we can do a reference to Gude for sure. But
With friends and it's a bit on that direction, and I mean, which is also something that I like. I think in general a bit different is that you cannot do it for so long. I mean, usually because of noise and sometimes the neighbor complains on. I think here things that you can do outside, so to say, to just hang out and drink and so on, finish much earlier than Italy, where people stay until 1 or 2 in the night. And here usually, I mean, you do it similarly, but a lot of things at 10 or 11. I mean, then you have to stop mainly because they. Otherwise, they have problem or the police come because. But and then you have to, I mean, move to other place. Sometimes there are party with music outside if it's summer, or club, of course, if it's more winter. And so I mean, in general, more or less, it's a similar thing to stay outside and drink maybe here is a bit different on on time, and at some point you have to do something else. And when I was back in Italy with my friends, sometimes or most of the time the evening were just like that, to just stay and drink until late in the night. But here I saw that many places you cannot do it if you are around, if you are more in the city. And
so at the end in Italy, just like you go out, you grab some drinks, and you grab these drinks multiple drinks until it's 1 or whatever. And here at some point of time you are somehow forced to either decide if you go home, or you go home with people and just drink at home, or you decide that, well, now with Corona situation, I think it has changed quite a lot, and the only options were like going home 100% or bringing the people home. But in normal times, I think it also happens a little bit earlier, everything. Like you go for dinner, you have some drinks, whatever, and then you go to either a pub and then you go to a club. So there is like a kind of step process in there happening. I wanted to ask you, how is it in Italy ending in a club? So because here most of the times it's like more or less a structured thing to do. Like, okay, you know that at 11 you will not be able to drink in a kiosk, and then you just like say, okay, we grab some other beers, or we go for dinner or whatever, and then you have a clear objective of ending in a club or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, in Italy, of course, in general, everything happened much later. So I think when I'm at home, also in summer, but also in winter, I think I never go out before 11, so to say. And
which is the hour that they are closing the kiosks here.
Yeah, so usually, yes. I mean, also now if I'm going, I have dinner at 9 or something, then 10:30 or 11, then I start to go out and everything starts. And of course here you do everything a bit earlier, and which of course, like everything, like weather or like I mean every kind of I mean in this case more cultural thing, then you get used. And of course, I mean in some situation or at the beginning, or sometimes you still have the same mindset before you are a bit prone to do things later, and then you arrive, it is already over and so on, and then you have to say, okay, I'm not in Italy, and you have to start earlier because stuff finish. But I mean, I think in general it's not it's not. Yeah, I think it's okay. I mean, you just get used to it, and then and you meet earlier, and then I mean, you move to other place to club or to other kind of party, and I mean.
In terms of music wise, like, do you think there is a big change in clubs, clubs or like concerts outside also? Like, it changes a lot, the music that you hear in Italy, the music that you hear.
Yeah, I think, I mean, in general, what I experience is that in Italy we have a lot of more like live concert outside, music outside. I mean, because a bar or a restaurant or I mean just random people, there are a lot of concert or because of the bar or whatever they organize something small and then. Not only in the city, but also, I mean, in Montepulciano, where I come from, or a small place around, you go somewhere also in the afternoon, late afternoon, and there is always somebody playing some music, different concert. I mean, also different kind of music. I mean, it can be jazz or some songwriter or some pop or whatever, but you have it really a lot. Here, I experience this much less. So that you don't find it so often, so to say. This, I mean, small concert from people around when you go around. And for other things, I mean, also like more in club or party, whatever. Of course, here there is much more. Like electronic music and the party and the club and I mean also things organized by students is usually always I mean you can find everything, but mainly you find a lot of electronic, which at my place I mean I think you find it a lot also in Italy in I mean in bigger city and so on, where you have a bit everything. But where I come from was not at all like that. But actually, I realized that I like it probably even more. So now when I'm back and I'm in different environment and like with different music, and so I noticed that I like it less. So yeah, I mean. I don't know. I mean, I didn't ever. I mean, of course, I did a lot of things when I was back in Italy, but I didn't ever really reach student life because when I also for my bachelor, I was commuting from my place to the next city, Siena, and. So I was not staying there, and so I was missing a bit all this student life, which I had much more in Osnabrück or even when I moved to Frankfurt, and yeah, so and in a lot of cases, party and so on related more to this, to electronic music, but.
Which kind of music do they put normally in clubs, like in your region, like pop, or they just go for rock music, or?
Yeah, I mean, you can have both, and also more dance music, and which I mean, as I said, at the end I realized that I enjoy much more
the electronic.
Yeah, one. I mean, I have to say I'm not like someone that listens so much or like on the daily basis about this electronic music, but I mean, but I like it, and when I'm out and party and so on, actually I like it much more, and I like much more the atmosphere and the vibes.
It's just like for you, it's just a club thing. Like you will never put yourself, or rarely you will put yourself electronic music at home, like being alone at home at your room and just putting electronic music. But when you go to a club, I think it happened also to me that I get so used that when I go to a club here in Germany, I'm expecting that there will be electronic music in there. So I adapt it as somehow as the music for our going out somehow, you know.
Yeah, I mean, but as I said at the end, I think I even like it more like this. So even maybe okay, I will not or not so often I will maybe listen it at home and so on, but I mean sometimes it can happen or with other friends or whatever. But when I'm also on a party outside or club, also here I went a lot of time, and I really like it. So it was not. And also, now when I'm back, I don't have the same. Actually, I find it much more nicer here, this kind of party.
But it's not because Montepulciano itself doesn't have that much of clubs or variety of clubs. I suppose size-wise, Frankfurt is also bigger than Montepulciano, so...
Yeah, Montepulciano, at the end is a village, it's 10,000 people, so it's not comparable at all. No, but like I said, there's a bit more... because I come from a small village, and also university I did in Siena, which is...
so this forcing of going back and forward also, it's like, I experience it also. I'm not from Barcelona itself, so just like when you go back and forward, you always know that either you are grabbing the first train to go back, or you are grabbing the last train to go back, or you stay at someone's place, and it's not the same, it's not your home, so I suppose that affects quite a lot.
Yes, because of course at the end I realized I was doing much less, and so because most of the time I was just coming back, and so I was missing all this student life, and only sometimes I was staying and do something, and of course Montepulciano is small and also around. It's not if you are in some city. I also for a while I was going a lot of time in the weekend in Rome, and of course then there you find everything. You can find party with different kind of music. You can find different environment, more related to squat and or more. Whatever. It's really. You have everything. And then, of course, you find also party with different kind of music. But at my place, so I did only for a while, a couple of years, which I also like it. But my place was never like that, and the same kind of environment and. But I don't know, I feel much more, like I said, more comfortable actually with what I have here that there in my hometown.
Cool. I would say just like we are already quite a lot of time, and I want to ask the last two questions that I always do for the episodes. First one, it's what you would recommend to any person who is coming to Germany, either from the perspective of coming from Italy or in a general way.
Maybe I also said maybe before, like a bit before. I think if one wants to do some experience abroad, I think it's good to do it as much earlier as possible. So I think if somebody wants and is interested, and because of course you get a lot of experience and meet nice people, and sometimes at some point you realize that also people from everywhere and that don't speak your languages and so on, but at the end you have much more connection maybe than from your people or from your own village and so on, because you have similar life or you're similar interested and similar experience or whatever, and of course this always give you a lot, and I think probably at the end I did to move quite early, but also already starting from university or whatever. I think if somebody want to go abroad to have an experience, it's good to do it immediately and not say, okay, maybe I finish. Because this was also for me, for example, I didn't do Erasmus all during my bachelor because I was thinking, okay, maybe then I will lose some time because if I go abroad, maybe it takes more to do the exam or whatever. I'm not doing it, and so I'm faster and so on. And okay, then after I decided to go abroad, but I think actually it's much better. If somebody has this trigger to have experience and to see other place, whatever, to do it do it earlier, and because I also, like we said before, also to create a network, and to also to do a lot of things, is better to do it also. When you are young, and it's easier. I think if you move somewhere else with 35, just in a random company. It depends on the person, but of course you have to put a lot of effort to do things outside work and to meet people and so on. And if you do it earlier, everything I think is quite natural. And you really have to avoid to make contact and friends and stuff. If you are just open and just going with the flow, so to say, you will have a nice experience. So I think to do it
as early as possible.
Yeah.
Makes totally sense at the end. Just like, the last question that I always ask, it's just like a little bit out of your experience or whatever. It's just like, I always like to give the space to the guest. If you have any personal project, any project from a friend or from a friend of a friend that you say, oh, this is incredible and I want to use this space to promote it, we will definitely use our channels to just promote that.
I don't know if it's a project or something. So when sometimes some years ago, also when a friend of mine was here, we did a couple of like a flea market, which are quite common in German, and because he was making a T-shirt with like designed the T-shirt and printed.
Just as a quick thing, like a flea market for non-German people who are watching it, it's just like a kind of second-hand market. You are just selling stuff, or also like when you have like small productions of things that you do on your own, you are able to sell it. You do like a little bit like building your own market on your own one day, one afternoon, whatever, and then you sell stuff in there. So yeah, sorry, just like you were saying.
It was good. And so we did some, and actually I liked it to do it. In that case I was just helping, and then I know that there are quite nice one in Italy, but also here there are a few around, or one has to explore a bit. And then now I was starting to do a lot of like object with ceramic and so on, and then we were planning. Now it's not in here anymore, but we were planning for a while to have a few objects and some T-shirts and so on, and to make some to go around and to have to go in this market, try to sell. At the end, it doesn't really matter if you sell or not, but sometimes it's quite nice. The people there, and and it's a nice environment. So in the future, if I can, I would like to make something like that. Also, we did it in Frankfurt, and also could be even just here. I think it would be nice.
For a personal reason, so you will be releasing some stuff in flea market, or you have a community of people doing stuff? And
no, I think like I have some stuff from my own that I did, and then maybe like to combine it with what he was doing, like T-shirt, and then I have some stand where we sell our things, and we spend time together.
Okay,
this was the plan. And
nice. So we will keep an eye, and if it's still on the plan when we release the episode,
make some I don't know.
Facebook
page or something.
Exactly. We will post if the project is advanced enough that when the episode is like released, we will just put it on the bio of Instagram, and also in the Facebook channel and everything, so you can just like check it out and go for nice flea market in Germany if you are here. If not, send some of your friends who are living here to go there. Edo, it has been a really cool and amazing experience to talk with you today. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it was nice for me as well.
So Prost. Salute.
Salute.